If you're using Monday.com and Claude, then this video is for you. I'm going to share with you one change that I made to my setup that drastically changed the results of all the questions that I was asking Claude about Monday. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Tara. I'm the founder of a company called Simple Day. We're Monday.com Platinum partners. And over the past couple of years, we've helped hundreds of companies get started with Monday.com. We do custom implementations, training, and can help you learn how to get the most out of the platform. If you need any help, my contact information is in the description below. I'm really looking forward to meeting you. Let's take a step back to just talk about what this Claude Monday integration even means and what you can do with it. Basically, what Monday did is they built something called an MCP connector. It basically connects Monday to Claude. They connect to a lot of different tools, but in this video, we're just going to focus on Claude. In my mind, it really does two different things. On the one hand, you can use Claude to ask it questions about Monday. You can look at your data, you can understand your data, you can ask questions about things going on within whatever is being tracked within Monday. The second thing you can do is you can actually ask Claude to do things for you within Monday. So I can say things like, add this new task to my task board, or tell me what I need to do in order to build out a board for an event that I'm running. And it will actually build out the board for you. It's pretty impressive that you can stay within Claude and all of these things can be done within Monday. Now, let's talk about the problem that I was having. I was using Monday mainly to get data. As a business owner, I'm constantly looking to understand what's going on in my company. I always want to know things like, what's our revenue this month? How many leads do we have this month? What's our conversion rate? How many contracts did we send out? How many contracts did we sign? What are our expenses this month? These are pretty standard questions that I think most business owners are looking to find the information to. Now, I have it all within Monday. In all honesty, it's within a lot of different boards. And it's not so simple for me to go through every single board and always get this data. I mean, yes, I've built dashboards, but I'm still jumping between a lot of different boards. So I had this idea, what if I can have this all in Claude and just ask Claude, like, give me my daily report, and it knows what questions I want to ask, what questions I want answered. So, what I did was I started asking Claude all these questions, and I found that the key thing that was missing is the context. Claude didn't understand my Monday account. And it's not really because it didn't have the ability to, but it didn't know which boards I was referring to. In my mind, it was so obvious. When I ask a question like, how many leads do I have this month? Go to this specific board, look at a column that's called lead creation date, and just pull that data. But Claude didn't have the context to understand it. And that's where I got this idea that I needed to make a map. I needed to give it context because I was tired of always telling it, hey, Claude, look in this board, make sure to focus on that column and give me this information. Or I want to know how many tasks we did last month. Did you know that my task board is grouped by months? Like, I was constantly feeding this information to Claude. And then it was like, why am I even doing this? I could just go to Monday and find the information myself. So that's why I built this map. So let me show you how I did it. Once I connected Monday to Claude, I simply said to it, I need you to help me write a map. What do I do? And Claude gave me the answers. So it started by giving me a few different options. And then I decided, you know what? I have so many boards and I really need a handful of boards. So let me focus Claude. And I said, here are my keyboards. Let's just review them and ask me whatever questions you need. So you can see that I gave it my boards. And then it basically went through all the boards and you can see that it automatically maps them. It said, this is your task board. This is the big picture board. It gave me a summary of what was going on in all of the boards. It definitely was a step in the right direction, but it wasn't enough information because it didn't always know all the columns or understand the structure of the boards to pull the information that I wanted. So what I did was I went board by board and I had Claude ask me specific questions and I told it, here are certain columns that you need to look at. This means this. I literally like translated how my boards were set up so that way Claude can understand them. Let's look at an example. Let's start with the example of my task board. The way that my task board is set up within Monday is that every single group represents a different month. And within that group are all of the tasks that we did every single month. So I would want to say something to Claude like, how much time did I spend on this specific client within this month? Now, Claude, in order to get that information, had to understand that my board was set up by month, and I didn't want it looking at a date column of maybe when the task was completed or when the task was assigned. I wanted it to look at the name of the group. Once it looked at the name of the group, then it would understand, oh, we're looking at all the tasks in this specific month. And you can see by this question over here that I had to explain to it exactly how my boards are set up. And you can see it even has the questions and it's saying, like, so when you ask something like, how much time did we spend on X client this month? It should pull from this formula column, it should filter by a certain drop down, and it should pull the relevant months groups. So I'm training it on how my board is set up and where I want to pull the data. I took the time, I think it took me about an hour, honestly, from beginning to end to tell it all the important questions that I want to ask and go through every single one of my important boards and important columns and map everything out. Once I mapped everything out, I did save it to Claude projects because I want it to be able to be referenced every single time I want to find data. However, I also wanted to make a view that was easy to use and I can always reference back to. So you can see here that I created this Monday board map, and it gives me all of the information that I need. If we start at the beginning, we can see here my quick answers. So here are my top questions that I usually ask, like how many leads this month? It's telling that what it needs to do is go into the SD CRM deals board, because that's what our board is, and look at the first contact date that it falls within this current month. Then, if I ask something like, who owes us money? It's telling me which board I need to go to the revenue board and filter by these certain things and search within a specific group. So I have all of the information here about my top questions. Again, I was constantly telling Claude which column to look at, which board, and all that. And it was getting annoying. You can see then that it actually divided everything by operations, finance, different departments, and it listed all of my boards, what my important columns were, how they worked, a little bit about it. So Claude has context. The one thing that you need to take away from this video is that Claude needs context to understand your Monday boards. And that's why I made this map. Now I want to jump into two different examples, one where we use the map and one where we don't use the map. And you'll see why this map is so critical and why it changed how I use Claude. I'm in my Claude projects, and you can see here that I've saved my map as a project. So I always start by using that, and it opens up my chat window. And I'm going to start by just adding my question: how many leads do I have this month? Now, remember, first, we want Claude to know which board to look at, and we needed to know which columns to look at. So here you can see automatically, I didn't prompt it. It just says, let me check your CRM deals board. It knows that's where my information is. And it'll just load. You can see that it's starting to tell me I have 11 leads so far in this month, and it's based on the first contact date. If we look back on the map, that was the key column that I wanted to pull the data from. Now, I have the option to dig deeper. I can say, like, give me a breakdown by source or compare it to last month, whatever I want. I can use Claude for all of those things that I want to look into. Let's jump into a chat with Claude that does not have any context. So here I'm just going to paste my question: how many leads do I have this month? Claude's thinking, it's telling me it's happy to help me, and it's searching for my connectors. Okay, so it's not even sure which tool to use. And it's saying, I don't have access to your CRM. You can see that it gave me options of some CRM. Now I need to tell it that I'm using Monday. So the first thing is obviously it didn't even know the right tool. And now it's saying, okay, let me search your data for you to find your leads that you want. It's telling me that I have a lot of leads boards. I know this may not be the norm because most people don't have a lot of different boards, but I've seen a lot of people's setups and they have a lot of different boards. And you can see here it's asking me which board do I want. And the truth is, I don't want any of those boards. So I'm going to put in the correct board that I want. And now it's going to go look for my information. Finally, Claude has found my board, but now it's trying to understand what the right information is. Here you can see it's saying, I see that you have a first contact date, but that's not the right column and it's looking for it. And it doesn't have context. I'm not going to go through the rest of this example, but you can just see by what's loading on my screen that it's not giving me the right information. In summary, the biggest thing that I did is I gave Claude context. I know it seems so simple, but I can't tell you how frustrating it was to constantly giving that context, not get answers that I felt were correct, and I was constantly double checking my work. Taking the time to give Claude this context and build out a map will change how you use this MCP. I definitely recommend taking the time to build it out. And if you need any help with your connection from Claude to Monday or building out your Monday map, feel free to get in touch. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and remember to subscribe to receive tips and tricks on how to use Monday.com. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.